Welcome to our channel on near-death experiences, NDEs. We'll explore stories of people who've been on the brink between life and death, returning with new perspectives. These accounts offer a unique glimpse into existence, life's meaning, and the universe. Each video is a journey through transformative experiences and spiritual discovery. We're creating a space of understanding and sharing for these extraordinary stories. Whether you're here out of curiosity or seeking comfort, we hope to bring you peace and awareness. Join us on this journey of spiritual exploration. Every moment is an opportunity to grow and love. Thank you for being here with us.
On that rainy Saturday morning in Illinois, the narrator recalls a day in the winter of 1955 in Texas. She was standing at the kitchen sink in their new home, thinking about her husband, who had enlisted in the Air Force and left the week before for a 3-year stint in England. Her two beloved daughters, Kathy, aged 6, and Carola, 18 months old, were playing beside her. They were supposed to join her husband a few weeks later. Their life was wonderful, and they felt fortunate. 2 years earlier she had been an atheist, but now she was a Christian with a family and a Christian home. Death knocked at the door when, while standing in the kitchen, a sudden pain pierced her abdomen, bringing her to her knees. Within an hour, she had become too weak to stand. Worried about the children, she called her parents for help. As a nurse, she knew something serious had happened and tried to reason about the cause of the pain. The previous week, she had gone to the airbase gynecologist because she knew she was pregnant. After the examination, he had contradicted her, declaring she wasn't pregnant. She hadn't believed him. As she lay on the bed in pain, she realized the symptoms indicated an ectopic pregnancy, where the embryo lodges in a fallopian tube instead of the uterus. This meant the pain was due to a rupture of the tube, following the growth of the embryo, and she was experiencing internal bleeding in her abdomen. The pastor and his wife arrived to pray with her parents. The journey to the base hospital was painful. Upon arrival, she and her father were told to wait, despite the symptoms having been communicated to the staff. Finally, they placed her on a gurney in a room, where she began to feel her life slipping away, thinking of her children and who would love and care for them. Her hearing was excellent, and she could hear all the words exchanged in the room. There were 2 doctors and 3 assistants. She could tell they were anxious when they tried to take her pulse and blood pressure. At that moment, she began to gently float towards the ceiling, where she stopped, and her gaze turned to the scene below. Her lifeless body was on the table, and one doctor said to another who was crossing the threshold, "Where were you? Called you. Now it's too late, she's gone. We have neither pulse nor blood pressure." Another doctor said, "What will we tell her husband? He's been sent to England. He only left a week ago." From her position above them, she thought to herself, "Yes, indeed, what to tell my husband is a good question. Well," she remembered thinking at that moment, "how can I be humorous at a time like this?" She no longer saw herself on the table below, no longer among the room's occupants. Suddenly, she noticed the most celestial light enveloping everything. Her pain was gone, and she felt her body as never before free. She experienced joy and satisfaction. She heard the most beautiful music, which could only come from heaven, thinking, "So this is how heavenly music sounds." She became aware of a feeling of peace that surpasses all understanding. She began to look at that light and perceive what was happening to her, no longer wanting to return. She was in the presence of a divine being, whom some call the Son of God, Jesus. She didn't see him, but he was there in the light and spoke to her telepathically. She felt God's overflowing love. He told her she had to return to her children and that she had work to do on earth. She didn't want to go back, but slowly she re-entered her body, which, at that moment, was in another room awaiting surgery. She remained long enough for the staff to explain that her heart was beating again, and that she was going into surgery to remove the ectopic pregnancy and the blood in her abdomen. From that moment on, for several hours, she was unaware of anything. The sky had another message for her, and this time she didn't leave her body. She was in bed recovering after the surgery when the greatest moment of her life arrived. The celestial light returned, completely filling the room. This time, a vision of Jesus appeared to her in the light, and he was beautiful, filling the room with his presence, love, and mercy. The vision she had of him started from his shoulders and ended at the top of his head. He spoke to her telepathically, saying, "Remember what I told you, remember how I revealed myself to you, and this will be a comfort and a stable source for you in the years to come, for the work you will do. Now, you know that you have nothing to fear from death." In the few days following her hospital stay, numerous staff members found pretexts to visit her room out of curiosity. News travels fast in medical wards, and everyone knew she had been declared dead and was living again. She had the scriptures at her bedside, and when the gynecologist visited her, he noticed and questioned her about her religious beliefs. She knew he had heard what she had discovered from certain staff members who had come to visit her. They were present when she was declared dead. After recovering, she reported to them in full the conversations they had while she was dead. They were astonished. She left the base hospital a few days later, and as she was returning home, she saw her 6-year-old son and daughter at the window asking for them. She said in her heart, "Thank you, my God, for allowing me to return to my children and for granting me the privilege of being their mother." She will always remember their sweet faces at the window. Subsequently, they joined her husband in England and fulfilled their mission working with children and teenagers. Her experience with death gave a greater dimension to her life and her catechism course for young people. Upon returning to the USA, her family grew, and she continued her work and education, teaching the nursing profession as a university professor. She has always been grateful that she was allowed to return to Earth and have a second chance, believing her time here must be used wisely. Now retired and a patient with terminal cancer, she feels she has lived a very beautiful life. 43 years after her NDE, it still lives in her heart, soul, and spirit. God's mercy and love are enduring.
If you enjoyed this video or you're interested in the topics we cover on this channel, I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. Share the video with someone you think might appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Preface: near-death experiences, NDEs, can be profound, life-changing events. Remember, NDEs are subjective experiences, not proof of an afterlife or a guide for living. Channel purpose: this channel shares NDE stories and information, providing a platform for open discussion without promoting specific beliefs. Disclaimer: this content doesn't replace professional medical or psychological advice. If struggling with mental health issues, seek professional help immediately. If you've had an NDE and need support, consult a therapist experienced with NDEs. We don't promote suicide or self-harm. If considering suicide, contact a prevention lifeline immediately. Suicide prevention resources: National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Crisis text line, text HOME to 741741. Conclusion: we hope you find this channel informative. For questions, please contact us. Remember, suicide prevention is crucial. If you're struggling, seek help. You're not alone.